guys, welcome. Master Coach Aaron Guyett here with none other than the Dolby style, Jason Dolby. So actually, Jason Dolby, I will say this, is my kettlebell sport coach. So a little bit about Jason Dolby. So he's obviously a well-decorated, not only kettlebell sport lifter, but also kettlebell sport coach. He's been doing online coaching since way before it was cool, which just recently, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, got very, very cool. Lots of people doing it. But, so we wanted to bring Jason Dolby on the Living Fit podcast and show to not only ask our age-old question, what is living fit, to Jason Dolby, but he has got some indelible, some like incredibly valuable information about how to keep your brain well during a pandemic. And this isn't just like some kind of like overarching like cool ideas. These are like straight up solid handles that you can put into your life to move you to health and well-being, which I can't think of a better way to help people live fit than to give them that information. So without further ado, I want to start us off with, what is this idea of proactive versus reactive that you talk about in the article, Jason?
Well, thank you, Mr. Guyett. Thank you for having me on, and I appreciate you and Living Fit for putting this together. So proactive versus reactive. Well, many people nowadays have a tendency to sort of fall into a reactive morning, right? A reactive morning that leads to sort of a panicked and slightly stressed out, unsettled rest of the day. And what I mean by that is, when people wake up, a lot of times they wake up, I mean, the brain itself it's a very social organ, right? We're very used to wondering what people are thinking about us. Oh yeah, am I gonna let someone down if I don't respond to this or that? So we're always thinking, unfortunately, we kind of put ourselves in like the shoes of others judging us, right? And it's not the best way, not the best thing all the time. And it has some benefits, but if we wake up and we immediately reach for the cell phone to go, oh man, what if there's some text messages that I missed out on when I was sleeping? Oh my God, these people are waiting for a response. Oh man, what if there's emails that I need to look at? Oh my goodness. What if, even grabbing the newspaper? Yeah, okay, it's in print, but like, it's still the same thing. What's happening is now you're being reactive. You're becoming reactive to whatever you're reading or whatever other people are demanding or asking of you. And initially, first thing in the morning upon rising, it's not the greatest way to get momentum because you haven't really had time to set aside for yourself. That is very, very nurturing as far as building a healthy, positive, relaxed, calm, confident momentum during the first part of the day. And so proactive, what that means is I'm proactively taking action to not take other actions that will immediately distract me and pull me away to become worried about satisfying other people's concerns, or to be distracted by news that will maybe send some negative energy through my mind and body that we don't necessarily need first thing in the morning. So when we are able to become proactive in adhering to discipline, and whether it's, and I think I wrote in the article, between like 20 minutes and an hour or whatnot. Of course, it depends on you, but give yourself some time without being put in a position where you feel like you have to open everything up to the digital world or newspaper, whatever, to respond to other people before you even have time to actually get your coffee, get your, whatever your form of a nice morning ritual is, meditation, prayer, whatever you stop, little exercise, whatever, to really kind of to really settle in and exhale. And a nice analogy would be, if you picture meetings that you've been part of for work, or you picture big events at work that you've been part of, think of the difference in your mindset and your self-confidence, right? That sort of that business inner swagger that you have when you are early, not just on time, but you're early, you're well dialed in, you're well prepared for your meeting, whatever, versus showing up for an event, work-related, business-related, where you are scrambling because, oh man, I jumped in the Uber too late, or oh man, my alarm clock, I hit snooze too many times. Then you show up. Try to remember that feeling that you had during that performance when you were running late. Okay, so no one likes that. Running late sucks ass. Most people can't stand it, right, when they get there. But what happened? Whose fault is that? It's your own, right? It's your own. You can't point fingers. You got to point them back at yourself and say, wow, I'm late because I was not proactive enough in handling my morning, which usually starts the night before. So that's sort of a tie-in to the feeling that you will force yourself into having if you begin your day reactively versus proactively, with an awareness of taking care of yourself first.
Oh, that's great. I love it. That's awesome. Okay, so proactive versus reactive. Now it's pandemic time, right? It's COVID-19 time. So what? Obviously, I can feel and see the carryover immediately. But walk us through. Are there any differences? Are there any bright spots? Are there any things that we can pull from? Obviously, all the value that you just talked about now in this pandemic.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And so what I mentioned about having a nice proactive morning, a nice start for the day, so you don't have to play catch up. On a general day, starting late or starting reactively by checking emails, looking at the news, so on and so forth. When you, on a general, normal, non-COVID-19 scenario, right, that's already stressful enough, because now you're behind and you're worried about all these other things and you haven't given any time for yourself. Couple that with what's going on with this worldwide pandemic with COVID-19. It's really you're dumping gasoline on a fire instead of how do we calm the flames? How do we get this down? And by starting reactively during this state, it's just chaos. It's it's absolutely 4, 5, 6 times worse to begin with in your morning like that. So what I would say is that remembering that the brain has a negativity bias, and it's not a bad thing. It's, for survival. If you're sitting in a chair quietly and all of a sudden you see tiny little 8 legs kind of from your peripheral vision moving toward your face, yeah, pretty much that's a great time to have this assuming that something negative is going to happen, right? Or if you're hearing somebody maybe walking a little too close behind you in a parking garage at night or whatever, yeah, you know what? It's good to have those negative assumptions and have that negativity bias. Could save your ass, right? So that's not a bad thing. But because we live in a world now where it's not always about, oh snap, was that roar from a saber-toothed tiger? Am I gonna have to run for my life again because I just did that 2 hours ago? No. So things are different. We're not on the Serengeti. We're not in that kind of lifestyle. But stressors and threats to the brain, they're the same. Whether we're super stressed about something, super nervous about something, scared from something, that's why people can wake up from a dream sweaty, right? Why? Because your brain doesn't know that shit's not real. That's a real moment, right? If you want to call it psychosomatic or not, it's real. The threat level comes up and then the cortisol stress hormone dumps. you're like fight or flight, is kind of kicking in. Those things are super real. So
yeah,
when we already have a heightened state of this nervousness, anxiousness, level of threat, just bouncing around in our brains because there's this virus out there that we don't really know quite how to deal with yet. People are working on things, but we don't really have a handle on it. And it's some scary stuff. So
yeah,
understanding that and understanding you're going to hear about it throughout the day multiple times from people that you care about, loved ones, whatever.
yeah,
When you turn the television on, when you jump on the internet, if you're reading the news, whatever, we're going to get a certain amount of that already, right?
yeah.
So knowing that, why couple it with adding this intensity of this, oh, this is so necessary for me to initially, boom, wake up. All right, cool. Breakfast isn't even made. Coffee's not made. Oh, I got to turn the news on just in case there's something scarier, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that's really problematic because not only are you now becoming reactive early in the day if you jump up and before breakfast you're staring at the news, but you're coupling it with just a monster amount of elevated threat in the brain, right, to respond to this stuff. And by doing so, you live this day with an unnecessary heightened level of threat and cortisol dumping through your system. And that's very stressful. And as we know, right, stress, high levels of stress, whatever it comes from, high levels of stress, the brain doesn't like it and the body sure as hell doesn't like it. That's really how people get sick from the inside.
yeah,
To be living with high levels of stress. You read articles about it all the time. Stressful jobs, can't stand what I do for work, this and that. I'm in a very toxic relationship. These kind of things, those lead to more sickness, than really almost anything else. So if you're adding to that, if you're adding to this consistent buzz of, oh my God, oh shit, oh my God, like throughout your entire day, every day during a pandemic like this, during a real actual time of serious threat, viruses love to prey upon, compromised immune systems. Viruses love that shit. No. You want your nervous system, you want your immune system to be as cock diesel as possible during this period of time. So if you can proactively take measures to reduce that level of threat on a regular basis, knowing that there's still a fire going on in your brain of threat because this thing is real, if you can proactively do anything to reduce some of this, right? Boom. Then you bring some of that threat back down and you also reduce your threat levels, which is huge for keeping your immune system higher, not dealing with these exacerbated threat levels in the brain.
Yeah. So, and so, simply put, right, there's so many unknowns and so many stressors, known stressors, right? Like we know our phone is a stressor. We know our news is going to be a stressor, all these things, but then there's so much unknown in that now you're just grabbing onto the handles of the known. Like I do know that I can prepare the night before to get good sleep. I can not touch my phone in the morning. And then you're saying that by embracing the known, that's how you're taking control back to create a healthy brain, a well brain, but not only that, also a healthy and well body. So it's perfect. It dives right into the next thing, which is you talk about immune system resilience. And so then what are kind of the top 3, 4, 5 immune system resilience things that we can do right now, which as I've read the article, right, also are things that we do know and we can control, right? There are a lot of things that we can't control. There's a lot of unknowns, but there are a lot of things that we still can control. So what are some of those? What are the top 3 to 5 immune system resilience by Dolby style?
Absolutely. And just real quick to tap into what you just said, there's a ton of uncertainty everywhere right now with this COVID-19, right? And so what's interesting about the brain is that a clear threat and also a blast of uncertainty a lot of times are very similar in the threat response for the brain, right? The brain is like, wait, I'm uncertain about what? It's the reaction is like, oh, whoa, it's like threat for the brain, right? So we have this uncertainty. So damn, if you're always tapping into what's uncertain or what the news may be providing, a lot of it's negative just because, of course, like we have negativity bias, so people tune in more when there's negativity and so on and so forth. When you're doing that, it's really a rough thing. Uncertainty will elevate, right, that level of threat. And having some sort of autonomy is a massive way. Like autonomy, it's a great way to sort of calm ourselves down and feel in control. Obviously, autonomy is like the freedom to whatever this, that, and the other, but it's great because autonomy, especially having that autonomy early in the morning and first part of your day, you're able to control that. And you're able to say, like, I can do what I want and I can focus on kind of the things that are present in front of me, which also reduces worry and stress about worrying about past or the future, right? And that's great. So right now, being able to focus on what we can control, it's awesome because it gives you that autonomy and it gives you something to focus on. What can I control? Cool. Crush, knock this out, checklist, whatever, so on and so forth. So it's absolutely huge to keep the stress level low, for sure. Nice. Immune system resilience, boom. You can literally, like you said, I mean, starting the night before, you can say, okay, cool. Let's eliminate a massive influx of blue light stress, right, from screens. And of course, we live in a digital age now. And even though this article that I wrote is on, mental and physical wellness, being able to reduce stress and kind of take back control of your brain, right? And say, cool, like this is what it's about right now. But even me, like I'm grabbing my phone more often. I notice I'm holding my phone in my hand more often than I normally would because I'm not traveling somewhere. I'm not running to work. I'm not driving. You're just in the house and you're like, well, maybe my dad reached out. I should check. Maybe you're grabbing a lot. So we're getting a lot of blue light. Of course, I have a blue light filter I try to keep on my phone, and you guys can do that for your computers, for your tablets. Maybe smart TVs have that. I don't know. My TV's not that smart, right? But if you're able to utilize blue light filters or wear blue light blocking glasses, awesome. But if you don't, most people actually don't. They're not thinking about it. And if you're getting that blue light from the screen into your face, like 2 hours before bed, no bueno, because that honestly, it's chaos for the brain and you're not going to end up getting a great night of sleep with that recent blue light stress and your brain's bouncing around, and then you can't go into REM or, that deep sleep until hours and hours later. Therefore, shitty sleep equals angry brain, and you're going to be pretty upset about it the rest of the day, whether it's unconsciously or not, right? So starting.
Yeah, hey, so real quick, something I didn't know: babies and toddlers produce more melatonin, and they do it faster. As as you age, you don't get as good as producing the melatonin, and the blue light basically says we don't need to pump any melatonin into the system. And so that's why we don't, it's like hard for us to go to sleep, hard for us, like you said, to get deep sleep. It was just a kind of a cool thing that I learned recently. And I'm like, oh, well, that makes a whole lot of sense. And that would make sense why you're taking melatonin and things like that to try to get better sleep. But all you got to do is shut off the blue light a couple of hours before you go to bed. And then if the sun is setting, right, then it's like, well, chances are you're going to start pumping out that melatonin. Boom.
Yeah, no, there you go. Because that's, look at our history. Who are we? We're hunters and gatherers that happen to be running around with laptops and smartphones and shit, right? But no, what? It's been like, the past 100 years, 150 years maybe, where we have these amazing luxuries where we can just like push a button and change the temperature in your home. What? Like, I don't have to build a Dakota fire outside of my, outside of my teepee or whatever to like bring in warmth. And no, it's so easy for us to avoid the actual elements which we were designed to experience, like physically and mentally. So missing out on all those things, it's definitely softened us, right? But yeah, we were meant to go to bed when the sun goes down, or at least start a fire, get warm, eat, go to bed, boom. But no, it's not how it is nowadays. So yeah, so if you're gonna start the night before, Aaron, if you can start the night before by pulling that stuff away a couple hours before, boom, that's gonna help with your sleep, right? And literally schedule it, like schedule, oh yeah, wait, stop staring at screens 2 hours before bed, great. Because we forget about things, especially when our head's going crazy, you know, and we're stir crazy in the house. We're thinking about pandemic, the health of others and our loved ones and all this stuff. No, schedule it in. Like I have dry erase boards all over my house where I write stuff down so I can see it. Inside, in mind, out of sight, out of mind. Remember that forever. And so you get good sleep. Now you wake up in the morning. All right, cool. Boom. Now I want to be proactive. Don't touch the phone. Don't grab the devices. Great. That's going to help keep the immune system strong. Things, rituals that you can do, right? I mean, create your own ritual, but I highly encourage people early in the morning, even if it's not your most intense exercise of the day or the week, whatever, to get something physical going in those early moments upon waking, because once you start perspiring and you get the whole body thriving, it doesn't matter if it's body weight, you jump on an Echo Road bike if you have one, you're on a rowing machine, or you just have a slam ball and you're smashing into the floor for 1 minute. When you start to perspire a little bit, then all of a sudden, oh yeah, baby, that brain-derived neurotrophic factor, that BDNF, that gets flushed through the brain, amaze balls, right? So that hormone like pushing through the brain, that is like, I mean, it's like straight up caveman's Red Bull, man. I promise you, you start to feel charged. Your functionality starts to improve, right? Your vision, your tracking with your vision, your thinking process, everything becomes accelerated. So when you're able to do that and then do something else, laughing with your kids, you know, whatever it is, playing games, those things are all amazing because they feed back to your soul what your soul kind of desires or craves that you're not going to get if you just blast on the internet or TV and so on. Then we're talking about actual exercise itself, you know, if it's later in the day or whatever, massively important because it's going to build mental resilience and physical resilience. It's going to improve bone density, right? You want to keep your bone density as you're sitting on the couch, especially, man, if you're over 30, 40, 50 years old, you're in the senior years. Less activity usually happens because of fear. A lot of times seniors don't go outside often enough because, you know, they have fear of falling. And a lot of that can be, okay, maybe they're wearing shoes in the house. I don't know why Europe and America and Canada, Mexico, whatever, we're wearing shoes in the house all the time. Like, I don't understand that. I changed my patterns, you know, about 2 years ago on that. And you will decrease the size of the brain map that is associated with the bottom of your feet. True story. As that brain map shrinks, the more you have a space between the floor and the bottom of your foot, the more that brain map will shrink. Therefore, your proprioception will become worse. You're more likely to fall. More likely you are to fall, the more you are aware of that. And then the less likely you are to go outside, go downstairs, this and that. And it's like this never-ending like circle that sucks so bad as people age if they're wearing shoes in the house. And then they develop more fear. Oh my God, I don't want to fall, don't want to go outside. The less activity you do going out, then all of a sudden your bones become more brittle because you're not working the system, you're not working the muscles, less activity, right? And then all of a sudden bone density is reduced. So it's massively important to exercise in whatever way, shape, or form possible. I recommend interval strength training, and I recommend 30 minutes, 5 days a week. Right now, I think it's great to also not overdo the stressors from exercise during this point in time. What I mean by that is in the article, I mentioned 2 reasons. And one of them is, if you're pushing yourself to 100% max effort or beyond, right? that's really challenging on your nervous system, man. And the body's going to get broken down. Imagine competing in a track meet or whatever. Even if you, the last time you competed in something crazy physical was high school or middle school, imagine how you felt afterwards, laying on the ground, almost tunnel vision, right? Yo, you're wiped out for a couple of days, like, because you've taxed yourself in a massive fashion, and you need to truly recover, right? So during that time, your immune system, guess what? It's not as strong, right? And we don't want to mess around with weakened immune systems at this point in time when COVID-19 is bouncing around, baby. Don't want it. Also, if you push yourself to 100% max right now, you are more likely, whether it's you're doing sprints or lifting, whatever, you're more likely to cause harm and injury to yourself, not just from soreness, but, whether it's, oh man, I tripped and fell, I could break a bone, I sprained an ankle, strained something in my shoulder, right? Then that puts you in a position where you may have to go in and weigh the freaking medical system down right now, which we're not trying to do, man. The medical system, leave the spaces for the people that truly need it right now, especially if, if they have COVID-19 and they're trying to, strengthen themselves the best they can. They need that care in the hospital. Just don't weigh the system down. Immune system strengthening, of course, flossing your teeth, man. A lot of people there, oh yeah, I brush my teeth twice a day, right? But how many people actually are diligent about flossing, right? And if you don't floss, man, you're asking for inflammation in your gums. Inflammation, the body is not going to respond to that well. It sends everything out to try to fight it. When it does that, boom, guess what happens to the immune system? Whoop, whoop, whoop. You're starting to drop it again, right? Starting to drop that again. Don't do it. Don't put yourself in a jacked up scenario. Take care of your toenails, take care of your toes, your feet, whatever. Make sure that you're not going to get these different infections that will then lower your immune system, which we don't want to do right now because viruses love smashing onto those lowered immune systems, brother. And nutrition as well. So we can get into that also.
Yeah. So that was going to be my next question. So are there, obviously the grocery stores are open, Costco's open. You had a funny Costco experience the other day, and then also a revelation when you passed by a particular fruit because some other fiber forms are missing. So I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, sure. So as far as as far as taking in foods, you really want to just think about some of the things that you have the opportunity. Be proactive, right? Set these things down, mark these things down. Okay, grocery list, whatever. Even if you're using Instacart or whatever, you're nervous to go out, someone's helping you get your groceries. Think of things like, sauerkraut, massively great for your gut health with the probiotics, and it's super high in vitamin C. Kimchi, amazing, right? Garlic, like pound garlic right now, right? No one can smell you in self-isolation, baby. So now's the time. Smash that garlic, bro. And it's absolutely great. So, I mean, a lot of things that you can do to be aware of, just really incorporating these immune strengthening foods in your system at this point in time is massively huge. As far as, we can go back to that more if you like, but to kind of tap into what you mentioned as far as experiencing things at the store. A lot of things are kind of blown out of stock right now. A lot of people are panicking. And so I threw a little joke in there, basically talking about, people's concern with extending their toilet paper rations, right? Or, oh man, what if I run out? First things first, be aware of what you guys are using, right? No need to wrap your entire hand like this before you go back there, okay? So that's one thing. Two, what I mentioned was if the Metamucil or the Benefiber or other products are blown out and just off of the shelves, honestly, what's untouched? Bags of prunes, because people they're just like, they associate them with, oh, that's gross. Oh, that's for older people. Oh, that's, but you know what they do? They do the same thing. They do the same thing. Your Metamucil and your Benefiber, do. So they're great. And they're all still sitting there because no one wants them. So by actually consuming quite a few prunes throughout the day, guess what, folks? That's going to extend your toilet paper rations. So boom, you're welcome for that. And yeah, no, that's a legit thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said at the beginning, right? You're just gonna slam some very ready to use amazing handles to actually, you know, extending people's not only brain health but body health and improving immune resilience during this time. So and case in point, right? Bag o' prunes, baby. So yeah. So then. Kind of along the same lines, you talked about like actually going out and you're at Costco and you know, a couple people just like dinged you and it was super easy to get upset. So you talked about that story, but then and then that kind of I think leads perfectly into you know, obviously we're wired for remembering negativity, but so then how can we remember to be positive or positivity or have some optimism? So I don't know if you want to share that story or just have people dive into your article to read it, but I thought it was valuable nonetheless.
No doubt. So so talking about proactive versus reactive, the reason I like to share that stuff with people, I mean, I normally share this with my family, friends, clients, whatnot, anyhow, but right now, just really being locked in the house, not being able to do the things that sort of satisfy our souls. We become a little stir crazy. There's an obvious real threat with the COVID-19 out there. And a lot of folks are, you know, just fanning those flames, just adding gasoline to the fire with the stressors from the news and, you know, stuff they're reading online or whatever. And that stuff is really challenging on the brain. And so understand this, right? The majority of people are kind of getting their information, not from just kind of going to website for the CDC and reading about what's kind of really happening, or going to specific people you respect for news and information, but they're kind of usually getting it from the masses. Why? Because their parents did it that way. They are used to that. It's kind of what they grew up with. Okay, boom, throw the news on, all right, whatever. So please understand, guys, when you are out and about during this COVID-19 era, we'll just call it, please be aware that the behavior from other people out and about, if you can kind of remember, it's not 100% their fault, because most of them are not being proactive. Most of them are not doing things that keep their brains a bit calmer. Most of them are not remembering optimism because they're being fed with just massive fisting force every morning, every lunch, every dinner, all kind of negativity through the television. So be aware of their behavior and let it go, baby. At this point in time, it's not time to get into confrontations, and especially not time for you to assume that these things are personal attacks on you, or this behavior is personally against you. Just understand everyone's going through it, whether it's stir crazy, in the house, stressed out, nervous about this and that, getting all their news, understanding that these people are like, oh my God, you know, if I don't get in here, and if I don't get this toilet paper or this purified water or yogurt before this guy does, I'm gonna die. Like, honestly, there's a lot of that. So I was in Costco the other day doing some shopping for a family who didn't feel comfortable going out on their own, right? And I highly encourage you guys, if you're able-bodied enough and you're healthy and strong and you can help some senior citizens in your area or family or whatnot, go out and procure things that they need but they're nervous to go get. Go do it. You know, it's gonna make them feel better, keep them safe. It's gonna make you feel awesome as well, which is great. So I'm at Costco. I get smashed into in the back of my leg twice by two different men during the same trip. Now, it was a serious trip. I was in Costco for about 3 hours. I had 2 masks on, and you know, my gloves and trying to do the things, so on and so forth. Bam! I get smashed into. I turn, I look at this cat, and he's not even looking at me. So smashes into me with the cart. I take a few deep breaths and I'm like, all right, Jay, this guy probably doesn't even know that he hit you, right? So I just step to the side, let him pass. It happens again. So I'm a little more irritated the second time. But I realized, okay, calm down, Jay. This guy's freaking out because all of his reactive, you know, mindset, reactive actions throughout the day instead of proactive. So he's highly stressed, and people, they're going to be not the nicest people, you know, at certain points in time. Some people are cool, but some people are not going to be nice right now. So please be aware of it. If you're able to just like kind of let it go, just move to the side, woosah, baby, let it go, right? And let them pass. That's going to be huge for actually saying, okay, cool. I'm in control of this situation by understanding shit about his brain he doesn't even know about. So when you're able to move to the side, and at least during this COVID-19, you let stuff like that kind of pass by, cool. Afterwards, maybe a different story. But be aware of that, guys, when you're out and about. Be aware of that.
Yeah, 100%. That's rad. I mean, that's great stuff. So obviously we've talked a bunch about like really subject matter that would be valuable without COVID-19. If we were just to implement it in our lives and life was, you know, gravy train, you know, like perfect, beautiful, everything's hitting on all 8 cylinders, you know, economy's pumping, you're getting the effects of that and feeling good. But then how much more, right, in times of crisis or in times of pandemic, these same exact pieces of information are right now. And so so I just wanted to shift gears just a little bit and talk about just some of the stuff that you offer, right? So clearly you've dove headfirst super deep. I have known you as a close friend for I think it's been a decade, my friend, right?
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And I can actually remember the first time that I met you, just outside of Innovative Results, right?
Yes.
Pretty awesome. So, but understanding, right, that you're a lifelong learner, and you're just all about continuing to educate yourself, not only for your own self and for your own good, clearly, right? These handles you're using on a day-to-day basis, you've changed your lifestyle multiple times every time you learn of something that can help you. But I think more importantly, and what I love the most about you is that you are doing it to serve your fellow man and woman. Like you're doing it. And I know, you know, the story of you in your young 20s, where most people in their young 20s, including myself, are 20 stupid years old, partying, you know, and just making all sorts of bad decisions. You're caring for your ailing, you know, grandparents, and you're serving them, right, at the highest capacity, literally sacrificing those years for their good. And so, and that being said, I know that you've carried that into now, like every single client that you have, every single you know, customer, every single person that you encounter feels that energy and feels that that servitude that you do without even thinking. It's an intrinsic outpouring of just who Jason Dolby is. And so I number one, just want to say thank you. And it's completely incredible and humbling for myself. It's like, man, you know, like WWJD, what would Jason do? And not at all, not trying to blaspheme, you know, what would Jesus do or anything, but just like, but seriously, like, and just an incredible caring heart, an incredible caring mind. And so I wanted to like just give you a moment. What are some of the things that you're providing right now for your clientele? What are some of the things that you've been doing since, and we talked about this prior to the call, right? Since 2009, you've been doing virtual training, which now all these trainers are doing virtual training, but this is old hat for you. So what are some of the things that you're doing now for your clientele, and how's that kind of walking out for you?
Sure. Thank you for the kind words, Aaron, by the way. And it's been a pleasure becoming closer with you as a friend, a colleague, a fellow lifter over the past decade as well. So grateful. Well, right now, of course, people are, they're in the homes, they're trying to be safe. So I push that. Some of my clients are a bit younger, and some of them are not as concerned about going outside. They're not as concerned about, oh, well, yeah, you have a great home gym. I'm used to coming to your home gym. Just wipe everything down and, we can do it. We'll keep our 6 feet apart and so on and so forth. But even the younger students, I just kind of say, hey, right now, I want to make sure that I'm doing my part in really keeping this virus preventing this virus from spreading, at least doing my part. Because if I already get it and they come over and maybe they have it, they don't know it, I get it. Maybe I don't know it. Maybe I just feel a little wonky, whatever, but I have it. And then let's say after this COVID-19 situation kind of dissipates, and then I'm able to actually physically work with, whether it's my parents again, whether it's my senior clients, and I pass it on, I'll never forgive myself for that, right?
Yeah.
So that's a heavy thing. And so I say, no, we're going to push towards virtual, I'm like, look, you have an iPhone? I'm like, cool. I have an iPad. Great. We can do FaceTime call for one-on-one or one-on-two, right? No problem. We can use the Zoom app, which we're utilizing right now. Everyone's been on Zoom a lot recently for obvious reasons. But no, I push this right now because, of course, it makes the most sense. And I've also been doing that style of training virtually for clients in other countries or in different parts of the United States for many, many years with kettlebell sport lifting. And just really what it's about for me is kind of creating mental and physical health solutions for the individual. Like, okay, cool. Like, what are the things you want to focus on and change in your life? And then so I look into myself, sit down and say, all right, cool. I try to use a combination of my fitness experience, right? My martial arts background, I'm grateful to my father for that. My studies in social psychology, my studies in neurology, and combining those things and saying, how can I be a solution machine for you? So I'm doing a lot of that virtually, right? Even before the COVID-19, but that's what I do mainly. I also travel to people's homes and help them. A lot of people don't want to leave. They feel comfortable and saying, you know what, I'm not going to cancel sessions as often. If someone's coming to my door and I'm like, whoa, I don't have to throw makeup on, or I don't have to whatever, and this guy can just come in the home gym here and help me out, great, I do a lot of that. Then also I have my home gym as well, where people can come to the cave here in Manhattan Beach, train with me here. And I also still do the online coaching for the Orange Kettlebell Club. Big John Wall Buckley, boom, up in Oakland is the headquarters for that gym. But I'm what I would consider OKC South, or Orange Kettlebell Club South. And I still train and coach for the Orange Kettlebell Club as well.
Nice. Okay, so then let's get to the final and sort of the crux of the show, the crux of the podcast, and that is living fit. And so obviously there's no way to not take what's happening right now and have it be somehow biasing or infusing itself into this definition. But just your own personal definition. Obviously, Living Fit we have our definition of what living.fit is and sort of our mission and our values and things like that drive us forward. But we want to know what each person on the show, what they define Living Fit as, right? So what is Living Fit to Jason Dolby from dolbystyle.com?
I would say 100% Living Fit for me is making sure that I'm mentally healthy, mentally and physically healthy enough to empower those around me or those that I care about, right? Whether it's family, friends, colleagues, neighbors, whatever. That's Living Fit for me. So if I need to apply certain things for myself, for mental wellness and physical wellness, in order to create solutions for other people around me to develop and improve mental health and wellness and physical health and wellness. Boom, that's where I'm at all day, baby, right? So that's what drives me. So we talked about it before, but I promise you, do good, be good. It sounds silly, you know, do good, be good, right? 4 words. What does that mean? It's a very interesting thing because human brains are driven socially so much. These brains we have we thrive in social situations. It's one of the reasons why we're having a hard time now, you know, being locked in the house or whatever. Very, very social. And this social connectivity and being able to, even before language was developed, right, with humans, it's being able to reciprocate, or, you know, it's like, okay, cool. Wow, you know, you just sharpened my stick for me. Cool. I'll go get the meat for you. Cool. Wow, this feels good. And that kind of stuff is amazing because when you're able to help someone else out, especially when they are not even asking for it, and you're able to do that, what it does for your brain, that kind of dopamine launching is very different than just like a dopamine launch from like, okay, cool. Wow, I got a cool text message that says, hey, I looked handsome today. Or, wow, you know, I ate this, you know, bite of Snickers bar, which is, boom, awesome. And freeze your Snickers, by the way, that makes them better. But those kind of things, boom, dopamine burst for sure. But the do good, be good stuff, that there's nothing that compares to that. And it's the greatest selfishness in the world. Because yes, for sure, you're going to feel awesome. Boom. By doing something dope, doing something really cool for somebody else. But it's a symbiotic situation. You take care of yourself, like with that awesome dopamine rush by doing that. But at the same time, you're changing someone else's lives. So be impactful, right? That's the thing. So that's what living fit is all about for me. Making sure I do the necessary things that keep my mind healthy and fit and my body healthy and fit and able, so I can then improve the mental well-being and the physical well-being of those around me and those that I care about. That's it, baby. That's what living fit is for me all day.
Man, yeah, obviously couldn't have said it better myself. So Jay or Jason or Dolby Style or Uncle Chu Hai. I mean, we love you so much. We got all sorts of names for you, and it's been incredibly an honor to have you on the show. Drop so many knowledge bombs, provide so much value in a relatively short period of time. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and yeah, love that living fit definition. So yeah, on that, we are gonna sign off, and we'll see you next time.
Boom. Thank you so much, brother. I'm grateful to you and Living Fit, man. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay strong, and continue empowering those around you, baby. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
All right, big dog. Later, man.